Hello, and welcome to Skyline Columbus, presented by CapTV. I'm your host, Tyler Prince.
And I'm Audrey Bauer.
To kick off tonight's show, we'll first be watching the trailer for Amped, a behind-the-scenes look at the Capital Crusaders 2012 football season by Scarberry Productions. Enjoy.
My boy Darren, his film crew is going to be filming you guys. We're going to be all access the entire season. So there's going to be cameras and mics all over our practices from now until the end of the season.
Here we go. Let's go. Let's go.
Get up the fight. Get up the fight.
Don't just drop your head.
Watch his hip. His hip goes here. You're going. Go.
What you just watched was a trailer to Scarberry Productions' newest endeavor, Amped, a behind-the-scenes look at the 2012 season of Capital Crusaders football.
Tonight on Skyline Columbus, we'll be talking with the man behind Amped, head producer and CEO of Scarberry Productions, Darren Scarberry. Additionally, we will have Capital University's Athletic Director of Sports Information, Chris Dickey, about being part of a project. And lastly, head football coach Henry Stanford will join us about his involvement with Amped and the Crusaders' performance through the first quarter of the season.
With us in the studio is Capital alumni Darren Scarberry, head producer and CEO of Scarberry Productions and the man behind Amped, airing Thursday at 10 p.m. on his YouTube channel, Scarberry Productions. Hi Darren, how are you today?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. So, what sparked your idea about Amped?
Well, growing up, I was always heavily involved in sports. So being an athlete, I wanted to take sports and combine it with video production, which was my hobby at first, but became a passion of mine and my career. So it started basically by watching ESPN and furthermore ESPN films, HBO films, and really watching their series. Their Hard Knocks is a series that HBO Films does annually on a different professional NFL sports team. And from watching those shows, I kind of wanted to do something on a smaller level here at Capital University. And I just kind of hit the ground running with it, and that's where we are now.
So what also inspired you to undertake this project?
Again, the sports networks, just watching ESPN, watching HBO, watching NFL films particularly, and Steve Sable, who was legendary in filmmaking and in capturing images that we'll have for a lifetime in NFL. And basically watching these guys kind of as innovators and what they've done for the game of football and for sports, and kind of being a self-starter, being a go-getter, that was huge for me. Looking up to guys like Steve Sable, like Spike Jonze, like Quentin Tarantino, who weren't always the most polished filmmakers. They didn't go to film school. They were more or less self-taught and just had the innovation and the will to get things done and accomplish their dreams.
So what steps did you have to take to get in contact with the Capital Athletics to be able to get the inside access with the football team?
Well, for me, as a student my senior year, I was really interested in building my portfolio and gaining experience before I got into the professional world. So I linked up with Chris Dickey, who is our sports media information director here at Capitol, and Don Stewart, who is our former athletic director. And I basically started working for them as a student, and I touched all the sporting events, basically produced highlights and team overviews for them. And Chris came to me this summer with interest in using me to help out the teams again, and specifically football. So when I knew I could work with Chris again, I jumped at it.
So did you get a sense of apprehension from anybody?
At first, I got a lot of awkward looks, and people were like, what is going on? What is this guy doing with the camera in my face 24/7? But for the most part, just a lot of awkward looks and getting the players to kind of unwind and not be so nervous in front of camera.
Watching the film, it seemed really hot during the summer practices. What was that like?
Yeah, it was pretty hot. Definitely hotter than I am right now in studio. But preseason especially was enduring. The players go through a lot, 90-degree weather with 2-a-days. Yeah, my job's nothing compared to what they're enduring, but being out there in the heat, right in the middle of it, isn't easy. You're up, you're down, you're crouching, you're running with a camera, running with audio equipment, running with a backpack on you. So it definitely is tough, but nothing compared to what the players are enduring.
Were there any funny moments, like any blooper material?
Yeah, definitely. I think I would say just from the coaches alone and the commentary that we've been getting, there are definitely some bloopers and a little comic relief. So everyone will have to stay tuned for episodes coming up to check out some blooper reels.
What kind of equipment did you exactly use? Can we get into detail about the equipment you use?
Yeah, definitely. I would say pretty much on every shoot that we go out and do, regardless if it's internal or if it's external outside in an uncontrolled environment, I have my own camera, which is a Canon 60D. It's a DSLR, which they've leveled the playing field from consumers to professional industries and production companies that have larger budgets. So I use that. Also use Sony XD cams as well as GoPros, which GoPros are phenomenal cameras. I've, by this point, pretty much found out they're almost indestructible. You can pretty much mount them anywhere, and they give you the capability to get a variety of shots that you cannot do with any other cameras. As far as audio equipment, it's a variety of different types of audio microphones, depending on the situation, anywhere from lavalier mics to shotgun mics to boom mics. So we're pretty on the go, and I would say it's more or less your guerrilla type filmmaking.
Okay, first game at home against Wittenberg. Did you feel like it was your first performance, like the players?
I did. I was sweating a little bit, like I am now. This year, I think with the previous experience that I had in my senior year, and knowing what it was like to be on the sidelines and not be afraid to get in between some players and get in between coaches, I think that helped. But definitely, like anyone going into a first game of the season, like the players, you definitely have butterflies in your stomach, and you're a little nervous. So, but the experience definitely helped.
Well, thank you for coming in and answering some questions for us.
No
It
problem.
was nice for you to enjoy. Welcome back to Skyline Columbus. We are now joined by Capital University Sports Information Director, Chris Dickey.
So, when you first heard about AMP, what was running through your mind?
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. It's great to be here with this guy, with Darren Scarberry, who's a very talented individual. I guess the first thing that ran through my head was just hearing the word amped itself really kind of elicits like a certain electricity. And when I think about football, that's kind of what you think of, is just getting amped. It's 100 guys out there getting amped to play. And so when I heard that word, and I was approached by Darren about the project when we brought him on to help the football team out this year, I was really excited because, like Darren was talking about earlier, he had worked for us last year, and I learned from his content that he created that he is a very talented individual. So I was just really excited to learn about it. And I can't wait to see, after seeing that trailer, I can't wait to see the first episode.
To your knowledge, did you ever see anybody create anything like this at Capitol before?
Well, I've only been here for about a year, just over a year now. So prior to that, I know the football team did have a relationship with one of the parents who came and did some light video work for them. But to my knowledge, nothing like what Amped is going to be has ever been a part of football here. So, like I said, we're so excited to see what Darren can come up with.
Being inspired by Hard Knocks, were you familiar with the format the show would have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was. I admit I have not seen too many episodes of it. It kind of airs during a season that's not exactly very good for me time-wise, so I hadn't seen it, but I've heard plenty about it. I know that there's a lot of teams that won't do it because it is so hard-hitting and kind of all access, and I knew when Darren told me that Coach Stanford, our football head coach, would want to do it because he's always been, since I've been here, he's been very all-access, very inviting of pretty much anything to give more access, more exposure to the program.
So, what was your exact role in this project?
Well, really, I just kind of let Darren do his thing, really. I provide a little bit of help for him, and especially in the scripting realm. My background is primarily in writing, so I provide a script, kind of give Darren a little bit of direction, with regards to Capitol's branding guidelines and things like that. But really, I'm just kind of an overseer, and I let Darren and his very talented student staff do their thing.
And not to butt in, but he does a little more than he says. He's all over the place, from production coordinating to managing where people are supposed to be, what they're wearing, etc. And to have Chris along the ride with the project, and to be able to have him put words creatively on paper for me to use as I produce these series it's awesome. To work collaboratively with Chris another year is awesome. So I think we're a good 1-2 punch for Capitol.
Well, how did you think the first show went?
Well, the trailer was excellent. When I saw it, immediately I was just, it was like a wow factor for me. I mean, it was just seeing the production, the original score, just it all came together for me, and just the slow motion shots, the different angles. I can tell a ton of work was put into it. I saw Darren a ton of times in the weight room, just like kind of crawling underneath guys, and I mean, just pretty much getting anywhere, everything from just everywhere. So it was just great to see that, and it makes our guys feel like they're part of something bigger, than just that team. They're part of a legacy and something bigger, with Capitol football. So I really appreciate that aspect of it too, and I know Coach Stanford and the players do as well.
Well, who is mainly responsible for getting the word out about Amped on campus?
That's a really good question. I guess I really haven't thought about that yet, to be quite honest. Obviously I'll have some assistance in that role, but I think a lot of it should and hopefully will come from the guys themselves. I mean, just, you know, putting the link out on their Twitter account, you know, just posting it on their Facebook page. You know, their family members see it, their friends see it, you know, and like everyone knows, social media just kind of blasts out everywhere. I mean, you know, so once it gets rolling, I'm really confident that, you know, a lot of people in the CAP family will see it, and a lot of them will really enjoy it.
What do you think AMPT has done for the university or will do for the university?
I think it'll provide something that's really never been seen before at Capitol. To my knowledge, before I got here, there really wasn't much in the way of video for really any sport, even just interviews where me being not the best video guy, I just kind of hold up a flip cam and interview our student athletes. But even that was a start, and we're always looking for more video help. And you know, I certainly call on any students interested in video, interested in anything like that, to contact Aaron or myself, because we're looking for help, and that's the direction that college athletics is heading. It's so visual now. And people want more and more content, and the more student help we have to create that content, and like we talked about earlier, to get the word out, you know, the better it's going to be.
All right, thanks, Chris, for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Coming up next is Crusaders head football coach Henry Stanford will join us. Skyline Columbus will be right back after a short break. That's my song.
And would you encourage other students to get involved with debate?
I would encourage a ton of students to get involved, because I know I make it sound like it's a ton of work, but you put into it what you want to get out. So once you start working, you become passionate about the topic, you almost just get drawn in, and you want to do the work, and you want to show up for the practice debates, and you just want to give it your all and win those rounds. It really helps if you're competitive. I know that's a lot of the reason a lot of other students are in it, is because they like to win, and winning by knowledge is very satisfying too.
Welcome back to Skyline Columbus. We are joined by Capitol Crusaders head football coach Henry Stanford.
Tonight on Skyline Columbus, we've gotten a behind-the-scenes look at 2012 Capitol Crusader football amped. Once again, we'd like to thank our guests Darren, Chris, and Coach Stanford for being here. I'm Audrey Bauer.
And I'm Tyler Prince.
Wait, was that not it? Why did they keep going?
Teleprompter here.
Yeah. So I was like, wait a minute.
You did that quick, man.
Oh.
Fast.
Thanks for being here today, Coach.
Thanks, Tyler.
When Darren first approached you with the idea of AMPT, what was your reaction?
I was excited. I was excited about the opportunity to show off our guys on film, and opportunity to show off to anyone who wanted to watch a little bit about our program in a personal sense of just learning more about our day-to-day operations, how we go about our operations of getting ready to play games, but more importantly, how we treat each other and how we play for each other in the family atmosphere that we teach in our program.
Do you think the students, or the athletes, reacted well to the cameras?
At first it was kind of awkward. I mean, to be quite honest, some guys are just not used to seeing cameras around everywhere, and they see it on TV, they see it on Sports Center, they see it on Hard Knocks and the Miami Dolphins and the Cowboys, but to be actually in that scenario was something special to them. And once I introduced it and Darren came that day to kind of introduce himself to the project, they were able to kind of say, well, okay, I'm Chad Johnson, I'm, Mark Sanchez, whoever it may be, and he started to see some of the dreams that they had of being on TV come to life.
So you think they stepped up when
they stepped
the cameras
up.
were on them?
They stepped up, they did some things, and they really enjoyed the opportunity to kind of show off their ability in front of anyone who wanted to watch. So they had a great time doing it, and still having a great time doing it.
Did you find it hard at all to censor yourself while you're mic'd up?
Not really. I'm for the most part, I'm pretty calm and well, mild mannered and pretty soft spoken, except for when I get riled up. So it really wasn't hard for me to censor what I was saying. I think when we talked more or less about there's certain things within our schemes and within what we do, we don't want to give off to Mount Union or Otterbein. But just the things I say and the things I do, it's kind of like I tell our guys. I treat my sons very strong as far as a lot of discipline. Education is most important, and I treat my players the same way. They have high expectations for them to be lawyers and doctors and CEOs, and I want our guys to be the same age of both my sons. So yeah.
Have you yourself gotten tired of the cameras at all, or?
No. I enjoy having that ability to kind of showcase our program and kind of get away from just the ins and outs of a program, to really give people the opportunity to come into our house, so to speak, and learn more about what Crusader football is all about. So I think it's just a challenge, and I enjoy the opportunity. Yeah.
Well, you guys already had 3 games so far, and you're getting ready to play John Carroll. Is there any improvement you've seen at all?
Yeah, I think what we've seen so far this season, we've seen our guys go through a downward moment against a tough team, and they rose up to the occasion for their first home game in the conference at home, and then went on the road last week and had a tough one at Ohio Northern. So I think our guys are kind of going through some of the same scenarios that you have in life, where you have ups and downs, but the steady path is the most improved path. And I think our guys are starting to learn what it's going to take to play high-level college football, and it's been a joy to be around it, but also it's been a tough thing to try to push them to understand that and do that. So, yeah.
Well, obviously football is a team game, but who's been that X factor for you guys this season?
I think that the guys who've been X factors for us have been, it's not really a surprise, it's been some of our seniors, some of our upperclassmen. The guys up front, offensive line, defensive line, who have been, very instrumental to a lot of our success we've had. But there's also been some young guys. There's been some freshmen and been some sophomores that have really stepped up and done well too. So I think the guys, to be very specific, will be guys like Aaron Nisley on defense, Nate Nazarella on defense, Seth Nelson, Tyler Dugan, Kyle Schaefer, Dominic Hildebrandt on defense. On offense, Matt Demore, one of our captains, David Hawson, Alex Nizda, Ryan Krimchek, a freshman, Bo Hardy, stepped up, Griffin Moody, Miles Robinson, and a host of other guys who have done very well for us, been key people.
Going into next week's game, what areas of improvement do you think you need the most develop on?
Well, we need to do the little things better. We need to solidify the offensive line, and I've always felt that the O-line leads the way, and I've always believed that you win football games up front, and so we have to continue to work at solidifying our offensive line, defensive line, on defense pursuing the football, on offense securing the football. And I think we need to cause more turnovers and throw more touchdowns and run more touchdowns. But I think, and I've always believed, that special teams win you championships. And we've been sound for 2 of the 3 games in special teams, and I think if we continue to do that, we'd be okay.
Looking into the season, who would you say is probably your toughest opponent?
The toughest opponent? Well, that's the great thing about the Ohio Athletic Conference. Every game is a war. I mean, I've told people it's kind of the SEC of the Midwest. I mean, you're playing some of the best schools in the country every Saturday, and it's hard for me to say one particular team is a tough opponent. But really going to our schedule, obviously Otterbein is a rival you want to play well versus. Mount Union is always either 1 or 2 in the nation every year. You want to play well against them. This game coming up, John Carroll, is a tough team that we have to play well against. Ohio Northern was a tough team. So there's a couple teams that have traditionally, and they always see it being the top 2 or 3. That's always a tough for us.
Do you feel like Capital has any main rivals, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, Otterbein's a rival. I mean, we got to beat Otterbein. I mean, that's pretty much the first thing I said in 2010 when I got the head coaching job, is that our mandation in our program is beat Otterbein. If you go to our locker room, the 3rd goal on the board says beat Otterbein, and it's pretty much a standard operating procedure to do that. For a lot of alums, it's Mount Union too. And we've been very close to beating Mount Union several times since I've been here as an assistant and as a head coach, and also previous years before I got here. You know, you figure, you know, in 2006 and 2005, 2006, we were 3 points away from going to the national championship game those 2 years. And you figure in 2009, when I was the offensive coordinator, we had them down by 7 with 5 minutes left in the game. And in my second year as a head coach in 2011, we were down 3-0 at half. So obviously with those kind of close scores, it tends people to believe that, you know, Mount Union is a rival. And I would say that, you know, I won't put it as far as it's a rival, we got to play well against them to solidify our program. Yeah.
Looking into like your recruiting process, have you like started recruiting in like different areas?
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly recruiting. I mean, literally, we're in the middle of the season, but we're still recruiting. And the great thing about recruiting is that because of the things that Darren is doing, it allows us, and also Dr. Ververse, who's done in the past, it allows us to recruit the entire nation. You know, I've received emails from San Francisco. I've seen emails from Arizona. I received an email today from Texas from a young man. So we receive information from all over the country because of us being on the web so much at least the last 5 years I've been at Capitol in different capacities, and I think that is what makes recruiting fun, because now you're getting interest from all over the nation. But our heart is always in Ohio. We have to do very well in Ohio high schools, and you know, really transfer students back from Ohio colleges into our school. And then obviously, if you threw a net around the 6 hour radius of Capitol, you know, we want to recruit those areas, Pittsburgh and Buffalo, New York, and Michigan, and Chicago, and Indianapolis, and Northern Kentucky, and definitely Florida. We was able to very fortunately have 5 guys from Florida come up to our program this year. So I think those are what makes recruiting fun.
So with the whole recruiting process, since you have your seniors, are the incoming freshmen, you know, having a good relationship with them and starting to learn to work with them well?
I mean, that's the one thing we told our guys when we reported, was that, you know, this is your family, and your family is important. And the big thing about family is that anyone you bring into your family, you got to take care of them. You got to show them the way. And that's what our veteran guys have done. But with that also being said, they've been told that it's a competition-based program, so the best guy will play. And you know, guys like Bo Hardy took that to heart, and now he's one of our starting running backs. So guys know they have to withstand their position within the program, and if they don't come ready to play come August, there'll be a freshman coming through the door and knocking on it saying, hey, I want the job. And so I think that's what really helps recruiting also, is that guys know they have an opportunity, if they're a freshman or a transfer coming in, that they have an opportunity to play football. So yeah.
How do you specifically reach out to players like out in California or Arizona or places like that?
No, great question. What we do is a correspondence of emails. Now that we can text, and collegiate football is another one.
Well, sorry to interrupt, but thank you for having us on here. And tonight on Skyline Columbus, we've gotten a behind-the-scenes look at 2012 Capitol Crusaders football Amped. Once again, we'd like to thank our guests Darren and Chris, and Coach Stanford for being here. I'm Audrey Bauer.
And I'm Tyler Prince.
Thanks for watching Skyline Columbus, presented by CapTV. See you next time.